Hello everyone. Today we have a swatching video. I have 32 Van Gogh watercolors. I've repurposed this Prismacolor pencil tin and magnetized the back of these little pans. Of course you can see there's a whole lot more that can fit in here. Probably another 3 rows, but yeah, I just didn't want to buy another watercolor palette for these, and I just wanted to use something that I already had and wasn't using, because I put my pencils in a case. So I painted this with some Duragloss white enamel so I can use it as a mixing area, but I mean, it stains a little bit. It's really not that big of a deal. And I haven't used these paints in a really long time, so I wanted to swatch them. And while I was doing that, of course, I would share it with you guys. I have my Zen synthetic golden Taklon. I like this brush because it doesn't have a point on it that I worry about getting dulled down or beat up, because it's already kind of like one of those beater brushes anyway. And then that's one of the reasons I don't use half pans a whole lot anymore, because it messes up the tips of my brushes. So I'll be using this one, and we have some good paper, some St. Cuthbert's Saunders Waterford cold press, and I have 32 colors here. I believe I've got 11 in this row, 11 in this row, and then 10 that I put more of the long ways side by side. So some of these colors are from a 12 set. I believe it was the muted palette, the pocket box, the Van Gogh pocket box muted palette. I don't know. A different combination of those words will get you what you need to do if you wanted to look for that, if you wanted to find it. Anyway, I shortened some of the words of these colors when I was writing out my original swatch sheet, and obviously when I was putting the words on the sides of the pan. So when I was trying to go back and make sure I know exactly what these colors are called, since this first one is yellow, lemon, I believe it's lemon yellow light. And let's see, we will be doing, we got 32. We will do 8, 8, 8, 8, 4 rows of 8. Maybe we can do that. Or 8 rows of 4. No, we'll do 4 rows of 8. Okay, and the first color is lemon yellow light, as I said. Maybe I'll just like make them long and narrow so they'll all fit, but you can still see them. That's a pretty bright color. So that's PY 184. Next one is Indian yellow. I do remember some of these, so I'll try not to look too much at my paper and make this process super long, but this is PY 183. No, I'm sorry, PY 83. It's a single pigment Indian yellow, which is actually what a lot of other companies use. If you're going to look for a nice Indian yellow, look for PY 83. It's a nice single pigment, deep bright yellow. Next one, I am gonna have to look at this next one because I need to know. It's Azo yellow, and it's PY 154, PO 62, and PW 6. Now that is really, really weird to me for an Azo. They could have just used PY 150 since they're, you know, they got a lot of light fast stuff going on here anyway, so I don't know why they did that. And when I was looking on the Blick website, it had Azo Yellow Light, Azo Yellow Medium, and Azo Yellow Deep. So I'm not sure which one this is. I'm guessing it's medium. Maybe deep, given that they put a PO62 in there, which is an orange pigment. Oh, I hope I can fit all these on here. I'm no good at judging yellows as far as size, and once we get past the yellows, I'll be better at gauging what's happening. The next one is GAMBOGE. This one is from the Muted palette, and it was kind of an outlier since the Muted palette had muted colors and GAMBOGE was kind of bright and deep, but I think they were balancing it out with those other muted colors, and it was the yellow that they chose to put in there. I will check here just see what GAMBOGE is. PY154 and PO48. Oh yeah, this one has the quinacridone gold, the one that's being phased out. Oh gosh, I'm gonna paint right over my other yellows, aren't I? We are at 1, 2, 3, 4. They might run into each other. Sorry. Because I still gotta fit 4 more on here. That is PO48 and PY154. They use a lot of 154 in here, except for the lemon yellow that we just did. So we are on number 5 here. This is Permanent Red. It's actually a really nice color. I think it's PY255. A lot of these are unusual mixes to me and unusual pigments as far as what they, yeah, PR255. So I unfortunately may be referring to that, my little notebook there, more than I'd like to. But the thing about Van Gogh watercolors is they're marketed as student grade. These are a lot of really nice light fast pigments and some unusual ones, and very surprisingly enough they use single pigments quite often. 2, 3, 4, 5. Next is I think it may be Quin Rose. And this I think was from the Muted palette as well. I took it out of the pocket box. The pocket box was difficult for me to use. You know, you kind of have to pop your the paint pans out with this little stick thing. And you know, if you wanted to rearrange them or write the names on them and stuff, and so I wasn't digging that, so I took them out. And then I bought some tubes of Van Gogh and put them in this homemade palette here. So the one thing I did always notice about their Quin Rose is it was fairly light, which I didn't really mind because you know, there's quite a few other selections of cool reds to choose from, and to be honest, I kind of like my Quin Roses pink and not so much fuchsia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do believe that is Carmine. So this is like one of my favorite Carmines ever. It is PR176, which I think is true Carmine actually. Unless I think it's PR177, but something close to that. But this is PR176. I think we will just barely make 8 here. sure I'm still in frame. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have 8. This, I do believe, is Rose Madder or Madder Lake. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's Madder Lake PR 264. Oh, I think I'm hitting the camera. Sorry. PR 264. Madder Lake. This probably has a more comprehensive range of colors than I think any of my other sets, really. I don't have a whole lot of like really large sets. I think the largest one that I've collected is Daniel Smith, and they're not all in the same palette or anything. I kind of arrange them according to the color schemes that I want and stuff. But this is probably the only palette that I have every single color from this brand in at the same time. See how this Rose Madder is just a little bit more purple than the Carmine. I'm calling it Rose Madder, but if you wanted to look it up, it's Madder Lake. So I do believe the next one is Quin Purple, and they use a real Quin Purple in here. It's PV55. Just making sure we are Quin Purple, and then next is Lavender. Might as well look ahead so I know where we're at, because there's 11 in these rows and only 8 across here. So we've got this Quin Purple, PV55, actual Quin Purple. A lot of times, you know, I don't think I see this pigment a whole lot. I usually have to buy it or supplement it, which, I mean, I did. I bought it in a tube for this palette here. But as far as the purples that usually come in a set, you usually get a dioxazine if you're lucky. But I like Quin Purple because it's rather subtle. It can get dark, but you can wash it out. Okay, this next one is one of my favorite colors ever, and I think this is the only brand that I have it in because of the pigment composition. Everybody else always just uses, you know, some purple, blue, and white, and they did too, but the purple that they use in here is PV15, which is ultramarine violet mixed with some PW6 as expected. If they're going to call something lavender, which is a pastel kind of color, then yeah, they're going to add white to it. And PB29 ultramarine blue. But I mean, I think they could have really just got away with leaving it ultramarine violet, unless it was a money conservation issue. But you can see how close these two colors are in hue. Obviously not value, but they are, you know, of course the lavender's more muted. It was in the muted palette. And the Quin Purple is just a very sheer color that can be washed out to something similar. All right, next one is Indigo. And indigos are often made up of mixes, as this one is, so I'm just going to make sure what we... PBK7 and PB15. That's a pretty mild indigo. I mean, there's a lot of companies that put like 3 or 4 colors in their indigos. And to me, indigo is just a very dark blue leaning toward black, so it makes sense that they would put just black. And phthalo, it sounds like, PB15 and PBK7. Next we have Chinese white, which I will not be swatching. And now is neutral tint. Neutral tint and the Payne's Gray in this set have two of the most oddest color combinations. So this neutral tint is, and as well as the Payne's Gray that we'll get to later, they are both PBK6 and PB19. And I believe it's the more violet version of PB19 because in the color description, pigment information, it labels PB19 as red violet. So, I mean, I don't know, but this is their neutral tint. I'm used to neutral tint being more like a subtle ivory black or something that granulates really heavily. But anyway, now we have sepia. And their sepia is nice. It is that same color mix with the PBK6 and the PB19, but this also has a phthalo. Now, because I didn't look at my little notes, let's see if I was right about that. it might have a PBR7 in there because it's a sepia color. So, where are we? We are at. Gosh, we are way down here. Oh yeah, PBK7. And PR101, I was completely wrong. That's a nice mix though. That is a really nice mix for a sepia. Sepia is typically a reddish brown, very, very dark. And so that's actually a very appropriate mix. Next we have umber. Burnt umber, PBR7, basic PBR7. And to me, their burnt umber is more like a raw umber. Which I kind of like, since we got the sepia anyway. Don't really need something that dark. They also have a Van Dyke brown, but I don't have that in this set. So next, we are at burnt sienna. You can see I use this color a lot. At least when I use this set, I do. And this is PR101. They're one of those companies that like their PR101 a lot. But I do appreciate that they use PBK7 for the umbers. Okay, next we have red iron oxide, which as you would expect is also PR101. It's much lighter though. Much lighter. A lot of PR101s are pretty dark. And where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I didn't have to go so small on some of these. Could have made them a little wider. Yeah, PR101. Next, we have Naples. Let's see, are we at Naples? No, I believe we are at ochre. I'm gonna go to the next row. We are at sienna. We are at ochre. Last one on the page. PY42. This is one of the ones from the muted set, and so these are both ochres right here. I'm calling this one light ochre and this one regular ochre, even though they're both just called ochre, because when I compared them from, this is the one from the tube and this is the one from the set, it's lighter. But yeah, they both actually, not just PY42, it's PY42 and 43. So you'll see this next one. We've got buff titanium, Naples yellow, ochre, and ochre. Okay. Well, I'm just going to switch the ochres around a little bit. So the light ochre is the one I consider from the pan that was in the set. So that's this one. And then the one next to it that I skipped, apparently, is the dark one from the tube. That are both. Why am I skipping this one so much? Let me see. It's this one. Come on, get the brush into this little pan right here. Yellow ochre, which is redundant since we have two. Okay. Now, I don't know, you guys can tell me, does it look just a tad darker than this other one? I think it is. I think it is. In the pan, it looks it. It looks more sheer, too. Like, the other one looks super opaque, like ochres normally do. And that one just looks a little bit more darker, a little bit more sheer. Okay, so now we have Naples. We can move on from the ochre debacle. So Naples, yellow, reddish. I will check my notes because Naples is often a multi-combo color. If you've ever found Naples in a single pigment, you would be finding PBR 24. If you ever want to find Naples, yeah, in a single pigment, you will be looking for PBR 24. This, however, is not that. So, let's see what it is. Wait. Oh gosh, can I stop hitting the camera? It is Naples yellow reddish, and it is PY42 and 43. Are you kidding me? Huh. No orange, no anything added to it. Alright, well, this is literally the same pigment as the yellow ochre. Interesting. Buff titanium, or Titan buff as they like to call it, PW6 and PBR7, which sounds like a nice version of buff titanium. It's one that makes sense to me. Okay, moving on to the more straightforward colors. We have, first up, Cobalt. Now, I've never seen them use true Cobalt, whether it be cerulean or Cobalt or anything they're calling something in the Cobalt family. So they do a combination. This one is PB29 Ultramarine Blue and PW6. So, let me see. I don't want to paint over the buff titanium there. But it's a nice version of an imitation Cobalt. I like it. Can get a nice sky with that. Next, I believe we have, I'm not going to try to guess. I'm having brain issues today. We have, Ultramarine is after Cobalt, and then PTHALO. I didn't want to mix those two up. So this is just your plain Ultramarine PB29. So it's literally the same pigment it was in the one we just swatched, without the white. And this is, in my opinion, kind of a weak version of Ultramarine. Well, maybe not. Maybe I needed to just get it going there. Okay, so as I can remember what happened 3 seconds ago, this is PTHALO Blue PB15. Doesn't specify whether it's a colon anything. Nice, strong. Looks a little warmer than the one next to it, so I would say, you know, it's headed toward the greens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got one more for the row. And that would be 3 of the blues. We're on the 4th blue here. And I do believe this one is either Prussian or turquoise, but you know, I'm gonna look. It is Prussian blue. PB27, yay. The actual real genuine pigment. I love me a Prussian blue. It wasn't a color I was all that interested in when I first started, but I don't know, it's very unique. Get some nice greens with it. Okay, next is a color they are calling turquoise. I do believe it's turquoise green. Yeah, I'm gonna swatch from the notebook. No, I need the paint. Okay, this is turquoise right here. It was in a muted palette, so they did not label their pans. I took them out and wrote on them, and I wrote turquoise because turquoise is already a really long word, and I just left it at that. I'm going to assume, for whatever reason, because I think I vaguely remember that it is turquoise green, so I did write down the pigment information for the turquoise green, and that is PB15 and PB29. I mean, could be regular turquoise, you know, but I'll let you guys be the judge of it as far as what do you think it looks like. It's a very nice color, nice and subtle, slightly muted, not, you know, not super duper bright, but just an all around nice color. Can fade to a nice light color. That's what I like about it. Okay. Maybe I should look ahead a few so I don't have to keep grabbing this and blocking the swatches. Okay, we got Viridian, Sap, Olive, and Permanent Green. Those are the greens that we have coming up. And then the Davies and Payne's Gray. I don't own a Davies Gray in any other set except this one. So, it's an interesting color. So, yes, we have all the greens coming up. Viridian, Sap, Olive, Permanent. I think I can remember that. It's probably the most array of greens that I have in any set, too. Let me count backwards to make sure we're at the right one. The 2 Davies and Paynes, Olive Sap Viridian and Permanent. So Olive Sap Viridian, no, Viridian, Olive Sap Permanent, Davies, and Payne's Gray. So we are at Viridian, PG7. They don't use true Viridian like most people. But the amount of times they've used the PG7 and PY154 combination and got different colors with it is just, it just amazes me. Yeah. Really interesting how people formulate paint and can do that. All right. So next one. I don't want to get them out of order. Viridian. Sap is next, then Olive. Because Sap was a poured color from a tube. And the Olive was from the pan set. So I could always tell those ones from the pan set because they're more level and they're higher than my tube poured paints. This is Sap, PG7, PY154. The pigments aren't going to be that hard to remember going forward because they're pretty much the same. Olive, PY154 and PG7. I think the order in which they list the pigments has a lot to do with how they look as well. Make sure my permanent green's coming up after Olive. I just want to make sure I didn't mix those two up. Even though I just got done saying that I could tell the difference, but I'm worried now. And yeah, I mean the Olive and the Sap, I mean they're really not that different. Can justify having both. I think the Sap's a little more yellow, which I would expect it to be. And this Olive was from the muted set. So now we have permanent green. They do have a permanent yellow green in their lineup, but I believe I have just the regular permanent green. Also, PG7 and PY154. Interesting, huh? How different these three are. This one's more yellowish. Even more so than the Sap. Okay, we're down to the last two. So I can definitely tell you which ones these are. This one is also from the muted set. This is the Davies Gray. Ooh, can I remember what's in the Davies Gray mix? Probably not today. I'm usually really good at remembering all this stuff, but I haven't worked with this set in quite a long time, for one thing. They do have unusual color mixes, and there's more colors in this set than in a lot of my other ones. So that is a really nice color, isn't it? Nice and muted and shadowy. Almost like you would like paint sage bushes with shadows and sage bushes or something. Davies Gray. PBK11. Nice granulating black. The only black PBK11 the only black pigment in all of these that is an 11. Okay, PG7 and a PBR7. So we have a brown, a green, and a black for our Davies Gray. That's a nice mix. And then the last one is the Payne's Gray that I was telling you about earlier. That is, I thought when I was reading the pigment off the side of this pan that I had missed one. I was like, isn't there supposed to be a blue in here? Isn't there a PV29 in here? No, it's simply PBK6 and PV19. Isn't that super weird? Like, you got a quinacridone rose in here and a black, and you're calling it Payne's Gray, as did you with the neutral tint. Maybe they put a little bit more PV19 in this one than they did in the neutral tint to make it more purpley. But yeah, interesting, huh? And I do like the selection of colors I have in this palette. I should paint with them more. Maybe in my next video I will use them since I have them out, and you know, gotta use your stuff, right? Okay guys, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.